Have you ever been in a room with someone you love, maybe your mother, your grandfather, an aunt who helped raise you, and just felt something was off? Not in a loud, obvious way, but in the quiet moments. Maybe they've been sleeping more. Maybe they've stopped calling like they used to. Or maybe they're just not quite themselves anymore. You can't explain it, but deep down, something inside you whispers, "Is this what it looks like near the end?" It's a feeling that hits you in the chest before it ever reaches your head. And if you've ever felt it, even for a second, you know how heavy it can be. That fear. That helplessness. That what if I'm missing something panic that keeps you up at night. Here's the truth most people won't say out loud. Sometimes, the signs that a loved one is in their final year don't show up with alarms or sirens. They show up in the little things. A forgotten appointment. A plate of food left untouched. A stare that lingers too long out the window. These are not just quirks of aging. They are the body's quiet whispers. And if we're not paying attention, we might miss the chance to make their final months, maybe even their final days, full of the comfort, love, and dignity they truly deserve. That's why this conversation matters. Because knowing what to look for changes everything. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through 6 subtle but powerful signs that may indicate an elderly person is nearing their final year of life. I'll break each one down, not just what it looks like, but why it matters, and most importantly, what you can do. And by the end of this video, you won't just be more aware, you'll be better prepared to walk this path with more compassion, more understanding, and more peace in your heart. If you're here because you care, because you want to learn how to love someone through the hardest part of life, then just comment below, "I'm here." And don't forget to subscribe. Because at elder mature moments, you're never walking this journey alone. Let's begin. Let's start with one of the most overlooked, yet most telling changes of all, sudden and unexplained weight loss. It's subtle. It creeps in slowly. And because it doesn't happen overnight, it's easy to brush off, or worse, never notice at all. Picture this. Mr. Johnson. A retired schoolteacher. Sharp mind. Warm heart. The kind of man who never missed Sunday dinner, and always had a second helping of mashed potatoes. One day, his daughter comes over and notices his belt is cinched tighter. His trousers hang a bit loose. And that familiar fullness in his cheeks, it's gone. She mentions it gently. But he smiles, waves it off, and says, "I guess I'm just watching my figure these days." The truth is, he wasn't. He hadn't changed his diet. He wasn't exercising more. He simply was wasting away. Quietly. Gradually. Without complaint. You see, as the body starts to struggle, whether it's from organ decline, a slowed metabolism, undiagnosed illness, or cancer beginning to spread, weight loss can be one of the first red flags. And not the kind that comes from skipping dessert or having a lighter appetite. This is deeper. This is the body using more than it's taking in, and having no reserves left to pull from. What makes this sign so dangerous is how easily it's dismissed. Families often chalk it up to aging. Well, she's just eating less now. That's normal, right? Or they say, he's not as active anymore, maybe that's affecting his appetite. But here's the truth, unintentional weight loss in older adults is never just aging. It's not harmless. And it should never be ignored. In fact, it can be a sign of serious conditions, like heart failure, kidney disease, or the early stages of cancer. Sometimes, it even points to malabsorption issues, where the body can't properly use the nutrients it's given. The tragedy? By the time many families notice it, the underlying issue has already advanced. So what can you do? Start by paying quiet attention. Don't just look at what your loved one eats, look at what they're not eating anymore. Are their portions shrinking? Are they pushing food around the plate instead of enjoying it? Weigh them gently, once a week, if you can. Keep a simple record. It doesn't have to be fancy, just consistent. If you notice a drop of 5% or more in a month, that's significant. That's your cue. And when you bring it up, do it with love, not fear. Say something like, "Hey mom, I've noticed your clothes seem looser. Have you been feeling okay lately?" Start a conversation, not a confrontation. Then, consider offering smaller, more frequent meals. Soft, easy-to-digest foods. Nutrient-rich snacks that are gentle on the stomach but high in calories and protein. And don't wait to speak with a healthcare provider. Because catching this early can sometimes change everything. It can buy time. It can bring relief. It can even bring them back to the table again, smiling, eating, living. Because at this stage of life, we're not chasing diets. We're chasing comfort, nourishment, and dignity. But weight isn't the only thing quietly slipping away. Sometimes, it's the energy to even get out of bed. Let's talk about that next. Now, let's talk about something that often hides in plain sight. Fatigue. Not just being a little tired after a long day, but the kind of exhaustion that seeps into the bones. The kind that turns days into naps, and naps into silence. Think about this for a moment. Your grandma. She used to sit by the window every afternoon with her yarn and needles. Knitting scarves, baby blankets, little surprises for family birthdays. It was her quiet joy, her ritual. But lately, the yarn basket stays untouched. She curls up in her recliner and drifts off by mid-morning. Lunch passes. Then dinner. She's sleeping through the sunlight, barely waking for conversation. You might think, she's just resting. She's older now. She deserves it. And yes, our elders do deserve rest. But when fatigue becomes constant, when sleep swallows the day and the spark begins to fade, that's more than aging. That's the body saying, "I'm tired in a way I can't fix with sleep." Here's what's really happening behind the scenes. As we approach life's final stages, the body starts to conserve energy. The heart may not pump as efficiently. The lungs might not deliver oxygen the way they once did. The blood might carry fewer red cells, fewer nutrients. And the result? The body begins choosing where to spend its energy, and often, it chooses stillness. It slows down. Rests more. Talks less. Fatigue can be an early sign of heart failure. It can point to anemia, malnutrition, or even depression, which is tragically underdiagnosed in the elderly. But here's where families often go wrong. They say, "Oh, she's earned the right to rest." Or, "Grandpa just enjoys his naps now, let him be." And while that may come from a place of love, it can also lead to missing something important. Because how someone sleeps, and how long they sleep, is often the body's way of whispering that something inside isn't right. So what can you do? Start by quietly observing. How many hours a day are they resting? Are they alert in the morning and tired by noon? Or are they sleeping through conversations, meals, visits? Don't judge. Don't scold. Just notice. Gently ask how they're feeling. Not just, "Are you tired?" but, "Do you feel weak? Are you finding it hard to get moving in the morning?" Sometimes, they won't say it out loud. They don't want to be a burden. But the truth lives in their routine. And if you see a change, if sleep seems to take over more of the day than waking hours, that's your sign to step in with compassion. Speak with a doctor. Get a simple blood test done. Review medications. And encourage a sleep routine that promotes quality rest at night, while gently stimulating the mind during the day. It doesn't have to be much. A short walk. A puzzle. A conversation. A small reason to rise and be present. Because when energy begins to vanish, it's not laziness. It's not boredom. It's often the body's way of preparing itself, little by little, for what's to come. And that's something we need to meet with love, not assumptions. But fatigue isn't the only quiet clue. Sometimes, the truth is in the way they move. Let's take a closer look at that next. Now let's talk about something we've all seen, but don't always understand: how they move. Or how they no longer move the way they used to. You ever notice it? That moment when someone you love, someone who once walked tall, with purpose, with confidence, starts to hesitate. The steps become shorter, slower, less certain. And then, the hands reach out. To walls. To furniture. To anything nearby, just to stay upright. Take Uncle Ben, for example. A man who once built his own garden shed from scratch. Carried bags of soil like they were feathers. Walked the neighborhood every evening like clockwork. But lately, he's been grabbing onto doorknobs just to steady himself. Reaching for countertops that used to be background, now suddenly feel like lifelines. He stumbled in the hallway last week. No injuries, just a bruised ego. His family shrugged it off. Maybe it's those old shoes. He just needs to slow down a little. But here's the hard truth: falls are rarely just accidents. When an elderly person starts to lose balance, coordination, or strength, it often means something deeper is shifting inside. The nervous system may be slowing down. The brain might not be sending signals as quickly or clearly. Muscles weaken. Reflexes dull. And the systems that once moved together in harmony, start falling out of sync. It's not clumsiness. It's not carelessness. It's the body, and sometimes, the brain, quietly struggling to keep up. And every fall, every near miss, isn't just a stumble. It's a warning. One fall can lead to a hip fracture, a hospital stay, and for many older adults, sadly, a long, painful decline that's hard to bounce back from. And yet, one of the biggest mistakes families make is telling them to just be more careful, without making the environment safer. So what can you do? Start small, but start now. Look around their home like you've never looked at it before. Are there rugs that curl at the edges? Are the hallways dark at night? Are there stairs without railings? Simple changes can mean everything. Install grab bars in the bathroom. Add brighter lights in common areas. Swap slippery socks for non-slip soles. And yes, check those shoes. The right footwear can restore confidence one step at a time. You might also want to speak with their doctor. Ask if a physical therapy assessment is appropriate. There may be gentle exercises to improve balance and strength, even from the comfort of home. And through it all, respect their independence. Let them feel capable. In control. Just supported, not watched. Because this stage of life isn't about taking things away. It's about helping them hold on, safely, lovingly, and with dignity. But sometimes, the warning signs aren't in the way they move. Sometimes, they come in the form of silence. A pulling back. A quiet retreat from the world around them. Let's talk about that next. Now let's talk about a sign that often slips under the radar. Not because it's invisible, but because it hides behind silence. Social withdrawal. Or a quiet loss of interest in things they once loved. You see, the change doesn't happen all at once. It's slow, subtle, and easily missed. Let me tell you about Mrs. Ada. Every Thursday afternoon, without fail, she played bridge with her friends. They'd laugh, tease, sip tea, and talk about everything from old memories to neighborhood gossip. It wasn't just a card game, it was a part of her. A rhythm in her week. A reason to get dressed, fix her hair, wear her favorite earrings. But one day, she didn't show up. The next week, she skipped again. Then came the phone calls. Her friends asked if she was okay. She told them she was just tired. That she'd be back next time. But next time never came. What they didn't realize was that she wasn't just tired. She was quietly stepping back. Pulling away. Not because she didn't care anymore, but because something inside her was changing. You see, as the end of life nears, it's not uncommon for the mind to begin turning inward. There's a natural, almost instinctive retreat from the noise of the outside world. The things that once brought excitement, phone calls, hobbies, even family gatherings, may begin to feel distant. And in some cases, this withdrawal is emotional preparation. A soft letting go. A slow, silent goodbye. But here's where things get tricky. Social withdrawal can also be a sign of depression, cognitive decline, or even early dementia. And this is where families often misunderstand. They say, "Oh, she's just moody these days." Or, "He wants to be left alone, maybe we're overwhelming him." But true withdrawal is different from needing rest. It's not about wanting peace and quiet. It's about detachment. Disconnection. A slow erasing of interest in the very things that once made them smile. So what can you do? First, notice. Not just what they say, but what they stop saying. Are they calling less? Missing family events? Forgetting hobbies that once brought them joy? Instead of confronting them, try this, gently invite them back into the moment. Not with pressure, but with love. Maybe you say, "We're having tea this afternoon, and I'd love for you to sit with me, no need to talk, just be with me." Or you bring them a small reminder of what they used to enjoy. A puzzle. A photo album. Their favorite music playing softly in the background. And sometimes, just your presence is enough. Because connection doesn't always need conversation. It just needs intention. And if you're concerned about signs of depression or memory loss, don't be afraid to gently raise the topic with a doctor. There are ways to support them, emotionally, medically, spiritually. Because even in silence, they are telling us something. And if we listen with our hearts, we'll hear them. But sometimes, it's not just what they stop doing. It's what they stop saying altogether. Or how they begin to speak, in ways that don't sound like them anymore. Let's talk about that next. Now we come to a sign that's perhaps one of the most painful to witness, when the way they speak, or stop speaking, starts to change. It often begins so quietly. A repeated story. A name forgotten. A confused glance during a familiar conversation. You might be sitting across from your loved one at the table, someone who once told the same family tales with vivid detail, who knew the names of all the grandkids by heart, who remembered birthdays, holidays, and favorite meals without missing a beat. But now, they've told you the same story 3 times in 15 minutes. They ask questions they just asked a moment ago. And sometimes, they simply stare into the distance when you speak, like your voice is there, but the meaning no longer reaches them. It's heartbreaking. And it's real. This isn't just forgetfulness. This isn't misplacing the remote or walking into a room and forgetting why. This is something deeper. Something more fragile. Toward the final stages of life, cognitive function can change rapidly. The brain receives less oxygen. Neurological pathways that once fired quickly now slow down or misfire. And in some cases, conditions like vascular dementia, Alzheimer's, or delirium begin to surface, or accelerate. It's easy to assume this is simply getting old. And yes, aging does affect memory. But here's the key difference: sudden or fast changes in mental clarity are never normal. They are signals. They are calls for closer attention. And yet, many families miss this one. Or they dismiss it. They say, "Dad's just getting forgetful, that's what happens at 80." Or, "Mom's been in her head lately, she probably just didn't sleep well. But if the person who once led conversations is now struggling to find the right words, if someone who used to smile at every joke now seems confused by the punchline, if they're forgetting names, getting lost in their own home, or slipping into long moments of silence, that's not just aging. That's decline. And it needs tenderness, not avoidance. So how do you help? Start by meeting them where they are, not where you wish they were. When they repeat a story, don't interrupt or correct. Let them tell it again. Sometimes, the retelling brings them comfort. Speak slowly. Use their name often. Keep questions simple, one thought at a time. Watch their orientation to time and place. Do they still know what day it is? Do they recognize the faces around them? Are they aware of where they are? If these things begin to slip, take note. Write it down. Because patterns matter more than moments. And please, don't scold them. Don't say, "You just asked me that." Instead, try, "That's okay, let's go over it again together." Because they're not doing this on purpose. They're not trying to frustrate you. They're simply moving through a stage of life where the mind grows weary, just like the body. And sometimes, in those quiet moments where words fail, all they need is your presence. Your hand on theirs. Your eyes meeting theirs. Your voice steady and soft. Because while memory might fade, love does not. And your gentle presence can anchor them in the now, even when the past and present begin to blur. Our final sign is perhaps the most profound. And the hardest to talk about. Because it's not about what's failing. It's about what's quietly preparing. Let's go there next. And now, we come to the final sign. One that doesn't shout. One that doesn't even ask for attention. But if you're paying close enough attention, you'll feel it. A deep, unspoken sense of peace. A quiet readiness. Some elderly individuals don't fight it. They don't argue with time. They don't cling to what was. Instead, they begin to let go, gently, deliberately. It may start with simple things. They give away a cherished heirloom. Not because they're clearing clutter, but because they want the right person to have it, while they're still here to see it in their hands. They speak more about the past than the present. Not out of confusion, but out of reflection. They revisit memories with clarity and calm, as if organizing their life story into neat, loving chapters. They stop making future plans. Not out of hopelessness, but out of acceptance. They may even begin to say things like, "I've lived a good life. I'm ready whenever God calls me." Or they'll simply say, "I'm tired." And it's not the same kind of tired we spoke about earlier. This is soul deep. It's peaceful. It's not sadness. It's surrender, not in defeat, but in grace. You might be tempted to worry. To think, is this depression? Are they giving up? But not always. Because here's what many people don't realize. This shift, this letting go, isn't always a sign of despair. Sometimes, it's the most powerful sign of inner clarity. The transition from doing, to simply being. You'll see it in their eyes. A softness. A slowness. A kind of wisdom that no longer needs to prove itself. You may see them sit quietly and look out the window for long stretches of time. Not distracted, but present. Not lost, but deeply aware. And in those moments, your job isn't to pull them back into your pace. It's to match theirs. Sit with them. Not to fix. Not to cheer them up. Just, be there. Let love speak through silence. Let your presence be the comfort they no longer have the words to ask for. Hold their hand, even when no one's talking. Brush their hair. Read a favorite poem aloud. Light a candle. Play their favorite song. Because sometimes, in these final chapters, what they need more than anything, is not advice, or treatment plans, or schedules. It's peace. The kind of peace that says, you are safe. You are seen. And you are loved, completely. These signs we've talked about today, they're not easy. They're not meant to be. But they are not just warnings. They are invitations. To see more clearly. To love more deeply. To be present more fully. Yes, these signs are difficult. But they can also be beautiful, if we know how to see them. Watching someone you love fade. Not in a single moment, but in the slow unraveling of days, the quiet slipping away of what once was, can break your heart in ways words can't quite explain. It's the kind of pain that doesn't scream. It whispers. Through long silences. Through the way they forget your name. Through the meals left untouched. Through the way they look at you, present, but somehow distant. And the truth is, most people carry this pain in silence. They put on a brave face. They keep showing up, caring, hoping, loving. But inside, there's this ache. This feeling of helplessness, of not knowing what to do. Of wondering, am I doing enough? Am I noticing too late? If you've ever felt that, you're not alone. You're not failing. You're not weak. You're human. And you care, deeply. That's what makes this so heavy, and so meaningful. But here's what I want you to hear, and hold on to tightly. Understanding these signs isn't about predicting death. It's not about counting down days. It's not about preparing for loss. It's about preparing for peace. Because when you begin to recognize what's happening, truly see it, you're no longer caught off guard. You're no longer reacting in fear. You're responding with love. With intention. With grace. You can shift the focus, from trying to fix what can't be fixed, to making every moment matter. So if you've seen any of these signs in someone you love, don't panic. Just, take a moment today. Sit beside them. Hold their hand, even if they're sleeping. Share a memory. Tell them what they mean to you. Ask them how they feel. Not out of worry, but out of care. Let this be the moment you stop rushing. The moment you stop waiting for the right time. Because this is the right time. And here's something no one tells you enough, even in the final year, there is still life. There is still laughter. There are still stories to share. Warm cups of tea. Quiet smiles. Moments that, though small, can leave lasting imprints on your heart. This stage of life is not just about saying goodbye. It's about saying I'm here. It's about walking beside them, not ahead, not behind, just beside. And if you can do that, with love, with patience, with presence, then no matter what comes next, you'll know, you gave them the most important gift of all. Your heart. Let's take a moment to gently bring it all together. We've talked about 6 signs. Not loud signs. Not dramatic ones. But quiet, subtle shifts that carry deep meaning, if you know how to see them. So to recap, the 6 signs to quietly watch for are, sudden weight loss, the kind that creeps in without trying, and tells you the body may be struggling. Constant fatigue or oversleeping, where rest becomes escape, and energy slowly disappears. Changes in mobility or frequent falls, when balance, strength, and movement become unreliable. Social withdrawal or a loss of interest, when the world becomes distant, and the spark begins to dim. Altered communication or mental sharpness, when memory fades and words begin to drift. And finally, a calm sense of readiness, that soft, quiet moment when a loved one begins letting go, not out of fear, but out of peace. These are not just medical observations. They are emotional truths. They are windows into a sacred chapter of life that so many fear, but few understand. And now I want to hear from you. Have you noticed any of these signs in someone you care about? Has something we talked about today touched your heart? Did it remind you of your mother? Your grandfather? A neighbor? Drop a comment below. Share your story, even just a few words. Let's create a space where no one has to walk this journey alone. And if this video helped you better understand what your loved one might be going through, if it gave you even a little more peace, a little more clarity, a little more strength, then consider subscribing to Elder Mature Moments. This channel is more than information. It's a hand to hold, a voice to guide, and a reminder that aging is not the end of the story, it's a different kind of beginning. We're here to help you navigate it all, with wisdom, with empathy, and with love. So as we wrap up this moment together, thank you for your time, for your heart, for caring as deeply as you do. Stay compassionate, stay informed, and above all, stay close to the ones who matter most. Because love is the most powerful care we can give. I'll see you in the next video.